Contrary to popular belief, it's not just about the weather to me. It's not just about being in the sunshine and feeling good. I'm a people person. I'm a man of the people. And I like to be around the people that make me feel special, okay? I was in studio with my girl Shay the other day, Monday and Tuesday, and I had a blast. You understand? I had to go on the road yesterday and stuff like that. But I was still feeling a little bit lonely, just a little bit lonely. And then they told me my boy RC was going to be in the house. They told me my man RC was going to be with me. And suddenly, the world is beautiful. My boy RC in the house. Pivoting to First Take. You know what I gotta say. Ladies and gentlemen, holla at your boy.
Yes, sir.
Woo!
This was the volcano that people across the league were waiting for to blow. The Baltimore Ravens have traded 2 first-round draft picks for a 5-time Pro Bowl defensive end, Maxx Crosby. The Raiders ultimately decided the right course of action was to move forward with the trade.
I'm going to Baltimore. I'm going there with one purpose, winning the Super Bowl.
The enormous breaking news, the Maxx Crosby trade has been called off.
The Ravens did not feel comfortable to pass him on that physical, so now that leaves us in certainly an unusual spot because Maxx Crosby is now a Raider, and the Ravens have their first-round picks back.
It has been a little bit of a bizarre last 48 hours. I won't say that it hasn't been, but it's good to have RC back. I agree with Stephen A. It's nice to have him back in the building.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to First Take. I am Shay Cornett. Yes, that is Ryan Clark. Good morning, Stephen A. Smith. Right. Hey. This is the first I'm going to hear on your thoughts on this, so let's get right into it. We're still kind of adjusting to the thought we were at least 48 hours ago that Maxx Crosby was going to be a Raven. Since then, we have learned that something just did not sit well with the Ravens from his physical, his medical testing, and then they ultimately pulled out of the trade, said trade is off. They'll take their first 2-round picks back, and then they signed Trey Hendrickson as Maxx Crosby is being sent back to Vegas. So here's Ravens GM Eric DeCosta on what happened.
I've got a responsibility to the Ravens, to this community, to our fans, and to Steve Bisciotti to do what we think is best for the club. And that's what we always try to do. Every decision we make is based on this idea, is this the best thing for the Ravens? It's very, very challenging. Again, I understand how people might, maybe from afar, would feel that way. But nobody's more upset about this than me. Gutted by it, actually. And so a regret, a big regret for me. But we will move on as a football team.
All right, so Maxx Crosby also took to X, posted, quote, "Everything happens for a reason. Believe nothing you hear, half of what you see. I'm a Raider. I'm back. Run that." Beep. Okay. So, are the Ravens now better off? Oh, yes, go ahead. What were you going to say?
You know, first of all, the hell with the Raiders for a second, and the hell with the Ravens collectively for a second. Let's go back to that quote by the I'm gutted. Did you see him, RC? Listen, let me call it. I'm making a call to Frank Valentini, the executive producer for General Hospital right now. That's a role for DeCosta right there. Oh, he's gutted. He's so hurt. Oh, you're so hurt that you get to keep 2 first-round picks. You're so hurt that you get Trey Hendrickson on top of keeping the first-round pick, but you supposedly gutted, and you're disgusted, and you're depressed, and you just owe it to the Ravens people. We've got to move on. Like some catastrophe has taken place. Let me get this straight. Physical took place. Suddenly, you didn't like what you saw allegedly, and that is why you're upset. So you get to keep 2 first-round picks and get Trey Hendrickson. Stop it, man. I give it to him. It was a phenomenal acting job by Eric DeCosta. I mean, listen, I'm not faulting the brother. I'm not faulting him at all. I just want him to know that if there is a role that he wants in soap operas, I can make the call for him. I can make the call.
I mean, Eric DeCosta did everything short of taking the BAL, which in my opinion he should have, because he accidentally made a great acquisition. You get to keep 2 first-rounders. You get Trey Hendrickson, who in 2023 and 2024 had 35 sacks. This is a dude that was in Defensive Player of the Year talks. And you know what happened. The way the calendar is set up, it let Eric DeCosta sit with this a little bit. And people are saying, does he have buyer's remorse? Yeah. And you know what else he got? Oh, I get to keep these first 2 picks. Remorse. Eric DeCosta saw an opportunity to get Trey Hendrickson because he didn't come off the free agency board early on in free agency. And then he got to see what the doctor's report was on Maxx Crosby. And he was like, you know what? I feel a little uneasy giving up what I had to give up to get him based on what you're telling me. So I'm going to get a top-notch rusher. I'm going to get a top-notch edge. I'm not going to have to put my team in a deficit by giving up 2 first-rounders to do it. And he made a business decision. It's okay to say that I'm doing business as business is being done. And if you look at what they're saying now about Maxx Crosby's injury, right? It could have been done week 8, the surgery. It wasn't. It was more complex than it was supposed to be because it was supposed to be a simple meniscus repair. He made the right decision. And all the people in the world that need him to be depressed and gutted about it are wrong because his job is to do what's right for the Ravens. And in the end, he did.
And here's the hard part on a more serious level, RC, that we've got to tackle. There is no choice as it pertains to this. I know that Maxx Crosby said, I'm a Raider, run that bleep and all of that. I got that. But the reality is that the storyline, true or not, is that a physical transpired. The family, the wife, and you know, they were flown in, scheduled for dinner and all of this other stuff. We got all of that, right? But in the end, a physical took place. Supposedly, allegedly, there was some alarming evidence that emanated from that. And it gave DeCosta cause to pause. And as a result, you know, the trade was rescinded. That doesn't, I mean, the Raiders get screwed because ultimately you got a guy in Maxx Crosby that you got to lean on more heavily now than ever before because chances are, even though they're saying they're getting calls about Maxx Crosby, you got to wonder, RC, is that true? If so, how significant are those calls? Because who's offering 2 first-round picks? The likelihood is no one. Yep. Because now your business is out. And I hope, listen, on one hand, I'm hoping it's not true because Maxx Crosby is a stud who we all respect and admire, and we want to see his career continue to flourish. On the other hand, you know, you're saying, okay, if it's not true, then lies are being put out there, essentially, about him, which doesn't help the Raiders, certainly doesn't help him and his marketability. And that's a deeper conversation, RC, that you're more qualified than most to get into.
Well, Stephen A., here's the problem. It's also the NFL calendar, right? They have this quote-unquote legal tampering phase, right, where all of these deals can get done, but none of them are official until 4 o'clock on Wednesday. And so during this time, you see that Trey Hendrickson hasn't moved. You made this deal or you agreed to this deal on Friday. The physical wasn't taken until Tuesday. And through that availability, through that time, Eric DeCosta was able to make this decision. And to be honest, there is no information that's put out about what Maxx Crosby or what the doctors found during Maxx Crosby's evaluation. All that we know is whatever it was sufficient enough for Eric DeCosta to back out of the trade. And the 2 first-round picks by the Baltimore Ravens were the most that they were offered. I think the Dallas Cowboys were the closest team. And so now if I'm another team, I'm not going to give you the same thing that the Ravens offered. If I'm the Dallas Cowboys, I'm not even offering what I had done previously. And so if you're the Las Vegas Raiders, who, in my opinion, were making moves based on the fact that Maxx Crosby would no longer be there, he's going to be on your team. This is what's going to happen, Stephen A. They're going to have to see Maxx Crosby on the field. I'm talking about the other 31 teams. And then we're going to have to figure out what team feels like they are an elite pass rusher away from winning a Super Bowl, and that's when the Maxx Crosby talks, in my opinion, will ramp up again.
Can we go back to the Ravens, though, really quick? Do we think they're better off?
Sure.
They're better off with how this all went down.
Well,
looking back, they have their picks, they have Hendrickson. Like, are they in a better position?
RC, I'll go first on this by saying this. My answer is yes, only because Maxx Crosby is coming off injury. If he wasn't coming off injury, right, then I would feel differently because obviously he's better than Trey Hendrickson, even though Trey Hendrickson can ball. But when you're coming off an injury, and what is it? It's a meniscus tear, I mean, it went a bit further than that. The fact of the matter is that there's some cause to pause. There's some reason for trepidation. And, you get out on that football field. Maxx Crosby at 80% is better than half the league at 100% at his position. We understand that, too. But that doesn't mean you don't need to be close to 100% to be on the damn football field in terms of durability issues because, one hit can end your season, if not your career. We understand that. You're the Baltimore Ravens. You got 2 first-round picks, plus you get a guy, even though he's coming off an injury, too, and only playing 7 games last year, and Trey Hendrickson, who prior to that had 35 sacks over the previous 2 years, which was 4 more than anybody else at that particular moment in time. So I'm looking at it from that standpoint, and I'm saying, Trey Hendrickson can get the job done, but when you combine that with keeping those 2 first-round picks, with some of the other decisions that you have to make, because this is the 28th ranked team in sacks last year, you got some work to do as a defense if you're the Baltimore Ravens, and one body may not necessarily do it. So I view this as a good thing for them, and it's beneficial to them is what I'm trying to say.
I mean, we have to be honest, right? Player for player, when both 100%, Maxx Crosby at this point of his career is a better player, more impactful player than Trey Hendrickson. But Trey Hendrickson is extremely impactful, especially when healthy. And the other side of that, Eric DeCosta, who we have to admit hasn't done the best job in drafting pass rushers. You look at Adolphe Owe, who goes to Los Angeles and is now a Washington Commander. He didn't pan out the way that they needed him to. There were injuries on the interior. He had to make a move to get an outside pass rusher. And now you have another first-round pick in a draft that's loaded with defensive talent to add another piece to your defense. And so, in my opinion, this team is better off right now only because we don't know the health of Maxx Crosby. I fully expect with the way that he works, with his level of toughness, with his level of skill, that he will again be a top-level rusher in this league, but you can never be sure with the medical results or evaluations.
RC, you know this better than me, but, being connected to the NFL, hearing what people are saying, words like dishonest and dishonorable are being thrown out there about Eric DeCosta and the Ravens right now. I'm here to say that I'm not saying that. I don't think you're saying that. We don't know that to be true. I think that's a bit extreme and possibly unfair. But we do need to acknowledge that that's some of the things that's being said. There is no doubt that if you connect the dots, it's emanating out of the Raiders because the Raiders are left holding the bag. You've got an injured Maxx Crosby that you're hoping and praying is going to be 100%. You had 2 first-round picks that you were relying upon that you no longer have. And the excuse is that this dude didn't, you saw something alarming on his physical. When the doctors have come out and said that he's on schedule, he should be fine come the season start. You knew he was injured when you traded for him, when you engaged in those talks, et cetera, et cetera. So we do have an obligation.